Now we've gotten our first look at one of the panels that's included with our Premiere Pro layout. Let's take a look at one other important one. As you can see, we've got lots of panels that we're going to be working with here, and they're all set up by default on a new project. Just like any of the CS3 apps, you can always go to the Windows menu and pull up any panel that you need to. And of course, we have the same kind of workspace settings that we have available to us in Flash as well. So you can set up workspaces for whatever grouping of panels you want. The panel that I'm looking for is up here called Source. And we can access it by actually clicking on any of the elements that we're going to be working with. For instance, I can just go over to my Ski Across movie here in my project panel, and I'll double click it, and it will open up automatically in the Source panel. Using this panel, we can set this clip up for use in our edit. And as you can see, we've got a lot of controls down here to work with. As I said before, I'm going to only be looking at the features we need to complete our edit. So there'll be a lot more that you can learn about these controls. But the main ones I'm going to look for, first of all, is just the timeline here. You can see I've got a blue indicator on the end, and that's our playhead for the timeline. I can just grab this and scrub right through the video, and we can see exactly what our video is composed of. We've got a lot of information in here about where we are inside the video, and the format that we're seeing is called timecode. In Flash, you're used to using frames, but in video, what timecode represents is the actual time of the clip. It starts with hours, goes down to minutes, then seconds, and finally frames. And the timecode we see here on the left represents the position of the playhead. The timecode we see on the right is the entire duration of our clip. So we've got a clip that's 14, almost 15 seconds long. As for the controls, we can actually lump quite a few of them together because most of the controls in the center here have to do with previewing or playing the video to a certain point. We've got our normal play and stop toggle so we can play our video, and there it's running at full speed. We've also got step forward by 1 frame and step backward by 1 frame controls. And down at the bottom, we've got more scrub controls so we can kind of scrub around through the video and find the points that we want. What I specifically want to do for clips inside this window is to select the footage that we want to use inside of our edit. Typically, what you try to do is have more footage than you're going to be needing. That gives you a little playroom and allows you to move things around as your edit demands. So let's try this out with the first video clip that we're going to be using, this one called Ski Ridge. Once again, I'm just going to double click it to bring it up in my source window. I'll scrub through it so we can quickly see what's included in this video. And as you can see, we've got our subject skiing up this slope here and pulling a big sled behind him. Now I should actually introduce the clips that we're going to be using here. This is all footage shot by Wave Vidmar on a solo expedition to the North Pole. So we've got a lot of beautiful pictures of the Arctic here, and interestingly enough, he actually shot all of this himself. So he had to go set the camera up and then run back in order to go and pull the sled up in front of the camera and then stop and go turn the camera off. So it's pretty interesting footage that we're going to be using here. Now you can find a lot of these clips being used on different websites. Specifically, this one would be the NorthPoleSolo.com website. But he actually has several other explorations going on. Now this clip is really pretty. We can see him kind of struggling up the slope and pulling the sled behind him. But if I go all the way to the beginning, we've got a lot of footage here where we don't introduce the sled at all. So in this particular case, I actually want to clip off the footage at the very beginning and just pick it up somewhere right before the sled peeks over the slope there in the ridge. Right about at this frame here. Now you can see that's about 4 seconds into the clip, and what we really want to do is get rid of this earlier section and start our video right here. We can do that by setting what's called an in point. We've got 2 controls down here, and the first one allows me to set that in point. What that means is our video is going to come in right at that spot. Now as you can see, we've got a companion to our in point, and of course that's the out point. So we're going to set that where we want the clip to end as well. Now these can be adjusted throughout our edit, but what we're really doing in the source window is picking out that interesting section of the movie that we want to have shown in our final edit. Now what I'm going to do is scrub down a little bit towards the end of the movie, and let's see where we want to set that out point. He pulls the sled along here. And for starters, I think what I'd like to do is set the out point right when Wave walks out of the camera view. We could go a couple frames more just to get that pole moving a little bit. There we go. And let's set our out point there. I can press the out point button, and as you can see, it cuts off my clip right at that point. Now we still have this video available for use on both ends. But if we use our video right now, we'll only use that portion in between the in and out points. Now let's just try this for another clip, just to make sure we have this in and out point stuff down. I'm going to go over to the shaving movie. That's the next one we're going to show. I'll double click on it, and that brings it over to my source window. And this is Wave actually inside of his tent on the North Pole, shaving. Shows him doing some normal activities. And once again, I'll just scrub through the video so we can see what's going on. There he is, just shaving into his mirror. You can see the wind blowing in the background. And for this particular clip, there's a little bit of distortion in the very beginning as I roll it through. Now, I told you this footage isn't as pristine as I would like for it to be for the edit, but for our project, I'd like to make sure that we clip out any of those distortions. So once again, I'm just going to move my playhead around until I get to the point where I want to start my video. Somewhere right in here, you can see those distortions on the back of his cap there. So if I move forward just a little bit, they're gone, and I'll set my in point. Now, if you like keyboard shortcuts, you can also press the I key, as you can see right here on the tooltip. But for right now, I'm just going to kind of keep things easy and just use the buttons in my source window. There we've set our in point, and we've clipped off all the beginning of our movie. And let's scrub down to the end and see how far we want to go with this one. We've got a lot of shaving going on. I don't think we need quite so much. So let me just pull this in right about in this area, somewhere around 21 seconds, and I'll set the out point there. Now once again, we can change these points later on in our edit. So I'm not fixed at those points. We can move them around both forward and backward in time. But the important thing is that we've used that source window to pick out the video that we want to show in our edit. Now we're still using the same source window even though we've used it for 2 clips now, and as you'll notice there's actually a pull down menu showing all the clips that we've viewed so far in the source window. So we can switch to those and access them anytime we want.